Hello, my friends out there in YouTube land. It is your good buddy Philtastic Phil here, and I want to welcome you back to my channel. It is October 1st, 2021, as I'm filming this. And you know what October means? The weather gets a little bit cooler. People start throwing pumpkin spice into everything. I'm going to tell you a little secret in case you didn't know. That's not pumpkin. That's not how pumpkin really tastes. It's all chemicals. You don't need that stuff. It tastes awful. Don't tell anybody that, by the way. That's a secret. Nobody watches anyway, so that should be fine. As weather gets colder, I've noticed a lot of women, not my beautiful wife, she doesn't need to do stuff like this, start dressing like Han Solo. They put on the white turtlenecks and the puffy black vests. You know what I mean. But I get excited every October because it is time for Battober. That's right, Battober. In case you don't know what that is, it's a time for artists, whether they're amateur or professionals, to basically challenge themselves using Batman, arguably one of the most popular and most well-known comic book characters out there. I personally follow Chris Samnee's Battober challenge. Chris Samnee is one of my favorite comic book artists. Really enjoyed his work on Black Widow and on Daredevil in particular. And I do realize too that there are a million different challenges out there. I know that somebody says Inktober and whatnot, but again, Chris Samnee's is the one I like to follow. So, in case you're unfamiliar, each day there's a different prompt, and you're supposed to use that prompt to make a Batman-themed picture and post it. There's one for every day in October, so again, there's 31 pictures that'll be done at the end of the month. Last year, I participated, and I really enjoyed not only the practice of drawing every single day, but also just kind of the creative flexibility that it gives you too, or the creative exercise, I should say, it gives you. You really start to flex your creative muscles. Maybe that's the best way to say it. I'm going to be doing it this year, but I'm going to give myself a couple of quick restrictions I'm going to share with you. And again, these are meant to not only kind of expand my creativity and get myself back into that kind of creative mindset, but just as an additional kind of way to challenge myself. So the first little caveat I'm adding to the challenge is I'm only going to work in black and white this year. And that, I think, is more in the tradition of Chris Samnee's work that he does here, at least, as well. And not only is that just kind of a restriction, but I think it kind of forces you to kind of think outside the box a little bit. How do you want to shade this? How do you want to tone that? I'll give it a shot, and hopefully it works out. Second, and I tried to get into this a little bit more at the end of last year's challenge. If you haven't seen any of my pictures from Battober 2020, I encourage you to check out my Instagram channels. I'll put those links in the description of this video. I try to make the characters in non-violent or kind of non-action packed. No, I'll go stick with non-violent poses. And there's a couple different reasons for that. When I was a kid, just really growing up and drawing, my first kind of foray into comics, I tried to copy kind of different, really different comic art that I saw that stood out to me. And at the time I was reading mostly X-Men, so you saw a lot of Wolverine, a lot of X-Force, a lot of Cable. And to me growing up, if you drew a guy with big guns like Cable, for example, or with swords like Deadpool and whatnot, it didn't occur to me that, and again, I was a lot younger, so take that with a grain of salt. It didn't occur to me that, yeah, these are weapons. They're meant to hurt people. And I didn't realize it at the time. I kind of didn't understand why, like, my parents would be like, well, why is he drawing this guy with a giant cannon? And does this guy have to have, swords this huge and whatnot? Yeah, I didn't draw anything violent, like anybody getting killed or anything, but it was just, here's a guy holding a sword type of thing. It didn't really occur to me until a few years later in college. I think I've shared this before, but in case I haven't, my undergrad was at Rutgers, and my major was visual arts. And I think it was in my second semester, I took a drawing class taught by Lloyd McNeil. And one of the classes, I think one of the first classes, it was just, I don't know what the exact assignment was. I think it was just to draw whatever you feel like drawing, just to see, and I guess gauge where your level of expertise was, so to speak. And I remember one of my classmates drew something, it looked like it was something out of a video game, where one guy, I thought it was kind of like a spy type of guy, kind of jumping over a small brick wall, and these soldiers were attacking him, and he was shooting one of them. And I remember the teacher, Mr. McNeil or Professor McNeil, had stopped and said, "Look, you know, this. When I see this, this takes me back to, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, this takes me back to my time in the war." And he went on and discussed how powerful, you know, imagery can really be in a composition, and it made me a little bit more mindful about what I was drawing and about what I was doing. And even though if I drew something and it didn't intend on, you know, taking somebody to a memory or to a place like that, you know, it could easily go back to that. So, taking all that information, again, I'm choosing not to put these characters into a violent or weapon-based, let's say, kind of pose. And the third challenge, the third part of this challenge, rather, I'm imposing on myself, my third rule, and this one is going to be the one that I think a lot of people are either going to hate or a lot of people are going to say, well, why are you even doing this then? I'm going to attempt to do a Battober challenge without including any drawings of Batman or Bruce Wayne. Again, I'm doing a Batman drawing challenge without actually including Batman. Now, yes, I'm going to rely heavily, of course, on his supporting cast, the characters, his rogues gallery. I'm not even going to include the bat signal in it. I figure, look, you know, it's a way not only of challenging myself, but of also avoiding some parallel kind of thinking. One thing I found out from doing the challenge last year was that oftentimes you have this idea that's like, oh, wow, I bet you nobody thought about this or whatnot. And everybody has that same thought, or everybody has that same kind of pose or composition that you've done. So I figure, look, this is a way of kind of staying fresh and original and challenging myself. Now, last year, after I completed the challenge, I kind of vowed to myself I'm not going to draw Batman any other time during the year. And part of that was I was a little burnt out, to be honest with you, of drawing the same kind of character, the same kind of situations. So I'm anxious to dive right back into drawing Batman. If you'd like to check out my progress, what I'm going to do is I think at the day 10, the day 20, and the day 31 mark, I'm going to include a small video just kind of showing my work and the prompts, of course, as well. I'm not going to comment on it or anything like that. I'll give you a brief introduction. Maybe I'll do a little title card with the theme of the day or the word of the day, however you want to say it. And then that's it. Thank you for checking out this video. As always, I do appreciate you stopping over here. I hope that you enjoy the art challenge and whatnot. And, you know, tell me what you think of some of my rules. Is it something that you think is original? Is it something that you think is crazy? What are you thinking at all? Are you thinking about what you're going to eat for lunch today? Go ahead and leave a comment below. I'd love to see what you have to say, and I'd love to give us a chance to discuss and to mix it up. Thank you again for watching. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace, love, and comics. Take care.